Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for the witnesses for coming here to testify today. Ms. Parker, thank you for your testimony. In your testimony, you relate the misuse by the FBI of SWAT resources, and you give the example of a nonviolent first-time January 6th offenders, one SWAT team spending overnight in a hotel 4.5 hours away to arrest grandparents in their late 70s. Sound like some dangerous hombres to me. On September 23rd, 2022, we're all familiar with the case of a pro-life activist and homeschool father of 7, Mark Houck's no criminal record. He was arrested in a SWAT raid, guns drawn in front of his family. Then there's 73-year-old pro-life activist Chester Gallagher, who was arrested for nonviolent violation of the FACE Act. And then there was pro-life activist Paul Vaughn, arrested in an early morning raid by the FBI, guns drawn in front of his 7 children. Sound like some really dangerous offenders to me. But pro-lifers aren't the only ones who have been targeted by the Biden FBI. Vanessa Sivage, a nurse at Texas Children's Hospital, read the story of whistleblower Ethan Heim, who we're familiar with, who exposed gender transition procedures being done at Texas Children's Hospital, despite the hospital having proclaimed that they were no longer doing those procedures because the Attorney General of Texas was investigating that clinic for child abuse. Vanessa stepped forward and basically confirmed Dr. Heim's story. She was then visited 2 months later by the FBI. And then, of course, the anti-Catholic memorandum that we're familiar with. I have that here in my hand right now. Just some simple questions. First of all, this is labeled as a domain perspective. Ms. Parker, what is a domain perspective?
That's a document that, from my understanding, was distributed within the FBI as intelligence. Someone formulated that document, and it was published internally, and it had a stamp of intelligence on it that was signed off by multiple individuals within the Richmond field office. And
part of that memorandum, first page, says, quote, FBI Richmond makes this assessment with high confidence based on FBI investigations, local law enforcement agency reporting, and liaison reporting with various degrees of corroboration and access. What does the term, high confidence mean to you, Ms. Parker?
When I hear high confidence, I want to believe that it's trustworthy, that I can count on that is factual, that is truth. And my understanding of that memorandum is that they use sources that would not typically be used to gather intelligence. And what was happening at the FBI quite frequently and was disturbing to many is that there were individuals taking their personal views, packaging it up, and creating a document and then stamping intelligence on it and distributing as if it was truth, as if it was almost the Bible. And that is an example of, abuse of your law enforcement power. You're allowed to have your own personal and political opinions, but when you go to work, you've got to leave those at the front door, and you have to exercise in an unbiased and fair manner and be truthful. And when you're getting an intelligence document, you want to hope that it is factually correct and it is true. And unfortunately, that was a document that Christopher Wray had to have rescinded because it was not accurate, and he found it mind-boggling and disgusting that it had ever been published.
Well, one thing I find mind-boggling, first of all, I am Catholic myself. I'm not a traditional Latin Mass Catholic. Often such people who prefer to go to the Latin Mass are referred to as traditionalist Catholics. And then so-called rad-trad or radical traditionalist Catholics are those who only go to Catholic Mass, who some of them believe that the regular English Mass is invalid or reject Vatican II or what have you, but not a single one of them I know even own guns, much less are they radicals or whatever. And then when I look at this memorandum, I see they're quoting the Southern Poverty Law Center, a viciously political defamatory group. I've worked a lot on immigration issues. I think Southern Poverty Law Center has declared every immigration reform group to be a racist or white supremacist group. just a walking defamation factory. Have you seen the Southern Poverty Law Center quoted in other FBI memos over the years?
I have not.
Okay.
I have not. But again, that was entirely inappropriate and never should have happened. And the FBI had to walk that back. But again, that is an example of weaponization. That is social weaponization at the FBI. It's entirely inappropriate, and it never should have happened.
The FBI not going after bad guys, but going after enemies of the political regime. Third world stuff. Thank you. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your testimony.
Thank you.